I've never told anybody this story before. Hey guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you are new. Speaking of new, actually, wait, let's talk about it. I have so many new subscribers. Welcome. I am so appreciative of you guys subscribing to my channel. I don't know what algorithm goldmine I landed over the past 2 weeks, but one of my videos is like almost at 10K views, and I literally filmed it like 5 months ago. So that's pretty crazy, but I'm so grateful and so happy that my channel's getting some more attention now. And I'm here today to tell you guys another story time because you guys were requesting a continuation of what happened if I kept the baby, what happened with Ryan, all these kinds of questions. So today I am going to do that story for you guys. There's just so much that goes into it. Like, me being pregnant at 19 was one of the most craziest things that has ever happened to me, and there's so much that goes into the story of like context leading up to it, the plot, and then like where I'm at now. So this might be in like 2 parts because I do want to tell you me finding out I was pregnant, everything that entailed, but also my birth, because I did almost die giving birth to my daughter. And it was a really traumatic and crazy time. So I don't want this to be like an hour-long video. I feel like people don't really have patience to sit through an hour-long video, or maybe they do. I don't know. I could be wrong. So this may be a 2-parter, but if you do want to hear the continuation of me being pregnant at 19, being a single mom, if I kept the baby, etc., then just keep on watching. So if you didn't see my last story time of me finding out that my ex cheated on me, I highly request and suggest that you go watch that, because if you don't, you're going to be very confused. It kind of is like leading up to these events, and if you don't watch that, you're going to be like, who is Ryan? What are you talking about? How did you find out you were pregnant? All this stuff. So I'm going to leave it in the description box down below for you guys to go watch and catch up on. And I highly suggest you watch that, because this video is not going to make sense unless you do. Give some context. Basically, in my last video, I talked about how I was with this guy. He was very narcissistic, very manipulating. And I had found out he was cheating on me for quite some time. And I had broken up with him. And then 2 weeks later, after I broke up with him, I found out that I was pregnant. So a lot of you guys were asking me all these questions about like if I kept the baby. You guys were like, you dropped this bomb and then you didn't talk about it, and I'm so sorry. I don't know why. I think because like you guys don't realize like I'm very long-winded, so when I tell stories I can go for like hours and hours and hours, and I felt like the video was just long enough. But to answer some questions, yes, I did keep my baby, my daughter. Her name is Aubrey. We actually have a vlog up on this channel if you want to go check it out. She's gonna be 7 in March. She is the best thing that's ever happened to me. If there's anything that good that came out of that man, it is my daughter. She is the light of my life. She's the reason why I'm here. She's the reason for everything. She is just my reason. I am a complete single mom. I do everything by myself. He is not involved, and we're gonna kind of talk about that in this video today. Let's start from the beginning. Video I did have to do quite some pages of notes for, because I just want to make sure that I don't leave anything out, because I will so many times tell my stories, and when I do, I will go back and be like, oh my god, I forgot this and that. And this story, it entails so much, and I just want to make sure that I'm hitting all of the bullet points, all of the like empowering messages that I want to amplify throughout this video. So I did do some notes, but let's just talk about a little bit of a backstory. July had come, and I used to get my period at the first of every month, like clockwork. Like literally my period came at the first of every single month. And like I knew I was pregnant. In my body, in my mind, in my soul and spirit, I knew I was pregnant. I don't know how, but I did. And July 1st, my period hadn't come, and I was just like, I'll wait a couple days. If by like the 3rd it doesn't come, I'm gonna go take a test. I don't know what it was, but I tried to go to like a Walmart or a Walgreens or like a drugstore like 3 different times to get a test. This is before self-checkouts were like a thing. And I literally would go into the store, I would like go into the pregnancy aisle and look all around me, and I feel like people were just like staring at me. And I was 19 years old, you guys, so like I was shook about the fact that I might be pregnant, and I don't know what it was, but I could not for the life of me go get the pregnancy test, go to like the checkout section and risk somebody seeing me. Like I don't know what it was, but I just felt so like ashamed of doing that, because I feel like people were gonna judge me. This was before I like really stepped into my power and like found out who I was like as a person. Now I don't care what you think about me. So at this time, you guys, I had no health insurance. Literally, I was dead broke. Like, I had literally just moved back from New Jersey to Connecticut at night. I had just turned 19. I had nothing to my name, like literally nothing. I was in no position to have a baby at all. I had no money. I had just started my job in April, so I was only there for a couple of months trying to like stack my money, save up, getting ready to go to college and whatever. So I literally was like, I had no health insurance, nothing. Like, I had nothing to my name. I was in no position to take on this responsibility. So I decided finally to go to a Planned Parenthood because it just beat me going to a Walmart and risking people like staring at me as I'm checking out with a freaking pregnancy test. So I went to a Planned Parenthood, I made my appointment, and I just remember walking in and just feeling like everybody was staring at me. I felt so alone. I felt so like ashamed because I was like, I'm 19 years old. I have nothing to my name. Like, what if I'm pregnant? Like, and everything. And I don't know what it was, but I just felt so like, I just like everybody was staring at me and judging me. So I walked into there. When you walk in, there's like this desk right in the front, and it's before you go into the second door. And it kind of just asks like what you're here for, what, you know, your visit's going to entail, etc., because they offer many services. And I said, I'm here for a pregnancy test. And she just was like, okay, no problem. Go to the second window and she'll take care of you there. I go to the second window, I get all my paperwork, they ask for my insurance, I tell them I don't have any, so I'll be paying out of pocket today. I get my paperwork and I sit down, and luckily there was only like a couple people in the room, and they weren't even like looking at me, didn't care. I was just so in my head though about people just like looking at me and judging me. I used to care, you guys, so much about what people thought of me, and now I don't. I'll walk outside with a freaking like hula skirt on and I don't care who's watching me do it. But I had like no self-esteem or self-confidence then. So I'm sitting down, I'm filling out my paperwork. I go up and I give it to the woman in the front, and a nurse comes out and she grabs me. So we go into this room, and it's this room, and I'll never forget, it was like this small table, like this very small, it almost was like a side table, like it was so tiny, with two chairs, and she sits down and she asks me, you know, okay, so what are you here for today? What's going on? I explained to her that I haven't gotten my period. I'm only a couple days late, but that like I know something's up. Like, I know something's up. I feel like in my body that I'm pregnant, and she reassures me that, oh, it's probably just, you know, stress, or it's probably diet changes that can contribute to a late period. Like, I'm sure you're fine. So I go into the bathroom, you know, I write my name on the cup, I take the test, and then she tells me to just go back in the room, hang out for about 10 to 15 minutes, and that she would come back and, you know, we would discuss what the results were. So after about 15 minutes, those 15 minutes felt like an eternity, literally. Like, it went by so fast probably, but in my mind, because I just was like so unsure, because this answer was going to change everything. What she came back and told me, if it was a positive or not, it was going to change my whole entire life. So I was just sitting there in that moment, and I just was praying, and I prayed for guidance and comfort, because that's what I needed. No matter what the results were, like, I was 19, I was by myself, I was broke, I had nothing, literally nothing, and I was alone. And I just remember praying for support and for guidance, and I knew that this was about to be the answer that changed my whole entire life. And I sat there, and she walked in, and she kind of has like papers like this, and she's just is like looking through, and she just looks up and she's like, so you're pregnant. And I can't even describe to you the overwhelming amount of emotions that were going through my body at that time. And sitting here now talking about it, I'm like going through it. By the way, I've never told anybody this story before. I never talked about how I went to Planned Parenthood, how I went by myself, how my options were discussed to me leaving. Like, I've never talked about this before. So getting it out is going to be like a huge healing mechanism for me. And I'm really excited to share the story with you guys. So anyway, she comes back in and she sits down and she's like, so what are your plans? And to be honest, you guys, I knew in my mind that there was no shred of doubt that I wanted to keep my baby. But I think I was just so shook and overwhelmed by the news that I didn't know what to say. So I kind of looked at her and I was like, I haven't gotten that far yet. This was the first step. And she goes, okay, well, she hands me 2 packets and she's like, this is the packet for if you're going to go through with it. It has a list of OBGYNs and clinics that you can go to. And then this is the other option where you decide that you want to terminate. And I'm going to give both of these to you. Don't feel like you're in a rush, but if you're going to make a decision, I'd make it in the next couple of weeks. And I said, okay. And I remember I was literally in like such a la la land, dazed and confused. Like I don't remember walking out of there. That's how like I was. I don't know what it was, but I couldn't process anything at the time. And I remember I thanked her for her services, and I had to pay that day. I think it was only like $16. It really wasn't a big deal. But they gave me the results, and I walked out of the clinic, and I went into my car. And I'll never forget, like, it's crazy because this is 8 years ago, but I still to this day remember how I felt getting back into my car. And it was so hot outside because it was like the beginning of July, and it was so hot. And I just remember walking out and having the sun beaming on my face. And I remember exactly what I was wearing. I was wearing these red Sophie shorts that I used to wear in cheerleading, and my old cheerleading shirt that had like my last name on the back of it, and I was in red and white and like flip-flops. I had my hair in a bun, and I just remember walking out and like the sun just like beaming on my face. And I remember going to the car and closing the door, and I don't know what it was, but I got this overwhelming feeling of comfort. And I wasn't scared, I wasn't sad, I didn't cry. I just got in the car, I turned the AC on, I was blasting it, and I remember taking the packets that she gave me, and looking at both of them was like looking at my life through 2 different lenses. So one of them was me looking at the termination papers and me seeing myself going to college and graduating and getting a good job and finding a nice guy and getting married and settling down, and then having kids and being able to be free and do what I want, and like not worry about anything, right? And then the other packet I looked at, and the lens that I was seeing through while looking at those papers was me holding this amazing, overwhelming blessing, and her changing my life, and me doing this by myself, and me being very strong because of it. And I took the abortion papers and I shredded them into a million pieces, and I put them in my passenger side seat. And it's crazy because this happened 8 years ago, but I can still feel the emotions and feel where I was in that moment exactly. And I remember I took a deep breath and I said out loud, this is happening for a reason. God placed this beautiful blessing in my life for a reason. And I'm sorry I'm getting emotional. Just when I look back and think about myself back then, I wish I could give her a hug and reassure her that everything was going to be okay, because it was. But I remember I said out loud, I'm going to be the best mother possible to this baby, and I'm going to give her everything that I've never had, and she's going to be the happiest little girl that ever was, and I'm going to be such a good mom, and I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. And for the first time in my life, I was starting from scratch. I had nothing. Like I said, I had no health insurance, no money. My car was like a deadbeat, old beater car. I lived with my dad in a 2-bedroom apartment. And for the first time in my life, even though everything was so out of alignment, I just felt like I was where I was supposed to be. And I was going to be okay. And that no matter what, I was going to get through it. And I knew that I was going to be alone. That's the thing, is that I knew that he was going to talk a big game about how he was going to be there, but when it came time to perform, I knew he was going to be on the sidelines. Like, I just knew that this was going to be me, and I was going to be by myself doing this, and I was okay with that. I don't know what it was. I can't even tell you. People ask me all the time, like, oh, when you found out that you were pregnant, were you scared? And I was like, no, I was okay. Like, I just felt this overwhelming sense of comfort and security. And I remember I just took a deep breath. I left the parking lot, and I was like, all right, it's time to boss up. Like, it's time to get our shit together, and we're gonna fucking do this. And that's that. I said I hadn't been in contact with Ryan. He had been trying to reach out to me, but I ignored him. I wanted nothing to do with him whatsoever. I was fully ready to just completely close that chapter in my life and move on. And then I found out I was pregnant. So it was just really crazy and I didn't really know what to do, but I knew in my soul that I was going to have to talk to him about it, obviously. So I remember texting him and I was just like, we need to talk. And he was like, okay, like, what do you need to talk about? And I was like, I need to talk to you in person. I'm not going to do this over a text message. And I had told him that I had a trip that week to go to New Jersey because, like I said, I left New Jersey, came to Connecticut, but me and my best friend Ronnie wanted to meet up and hang out because she was going to be moving soon. So I made a plan to go down there for like, you know, 4 or 5 days and just see her and hang out and spend some time with her. And I told him, I said, I'm going on a trip to New Jersey. When I come back, I would like to meet up in person so we could talk about this. And he said, okay, just let me know. Didn't really seem too pressed about it, but just was like, okay, like, let me know, and cool. And I remember clearly that when this happened to me, I had read an article of an interview that Jamie Lynn Spears had done when she first found out that she was pregnant, and she was talking about how she just found out the news and she took like a week to herself. Like, she didn't tell anybody, she didn't say anything. She just took a week to herself to be alone and be in solitude and spend some time with herself and just really soak in this news and decide how she was going to go about it. And that's exactly what I did. I remember I was like, I'm going to take a week to myself. I'm not going to tell anybody anything. I'm not going to show that I'm like worried or anything like that. I'm just going to really pour everything that I have into myself, spend time with myself. I lounged on the couch. I ate some like really good snacks. I watched Teen Mom because I was like, this is going to be my reality. Like, I need to learn how I'm gonna cope with this and go forward. And I remember I would watch like all these reruns of Teen Mom that were always on MTV all the time, and I didn't really talk to my friends or like my family. I really just stayed secluded into myself. Just wanted to be with me and soak in this news and decide how I was gonna make a plan to support my new baby. And I remember I really enjoyed my solitude because before this I was so like codependent on other people making me happy, and I knew that I was gonna have to learn to be okay with being by myself, and that was gonna be my reality for a bit. And I really just learned to love my solitude and enjoy my alone time during that time, and it gave me a newfound sense of like independence and being a woman who was about just being independent and bossing up basically. And it really just gave me a sense of comfort. So I look back at that time and I'm happy that I made that decision to not jump the gun and just tell people right away, and just really take that time for myself and enjoy me for a bit. So funny because I worked at a daycare at that time, ironically. My dad's girlfriend at the time knew somebody who worked at a daycare, and she knew that I was looking for a job, and she got me a connection. I got an interview, and then I got a position there. And my partner who I worked with at the daycare, not romantic partner, just like my working partner, she knew like right away I was pregnant. I wasn't even showing, I wasn't like throwing up at work, anything, but she just knew somehow. I guess it's mother's intuition, and she gave me some really encouraging and uplifting words that I really needed to hear during that time. And I'll never forget the impact that she made on me and how she made me just feel so like good and that I was gonna be okay. And I remember she told me like, you're gonna be the best mom, like you're gonna be such a good mom, you're gonna be okay, like you're just, this was meant to happen. And I'll never forget her. She was such an angel sent to me, I swear. So scroll forward, I take my trip to New Jersey to see my best friend Ronnie, spend some time with her, visit my old town. And I didn't tell her about me being pregnant through the trip just because it just was something I wanted to keep to myself. I wasn't ready to tell people yet. And I truly believe that that's something that you tell people on your own time when you're comfortable with it. And it'd be funny because she would ask me like if I wanted like a beer or something, and I'd be like, oh no, like I'm good, I'll have one later, something like that. So that was pretty funny. I look back on that and I laugh a lot. But I was on my trip with her, and I remember during the trip that I texted him and I said, hey, like I'm gonna be home this day. It would be great if we could meet up and finally kind of talk about what it is that I have to talk to you about. And he was being weird with answering, so I remember that I went to his Facebook and temporarily unblocked him, because remember I said after he cheated on me, like, I don't play that. I will block you on everything and act like you never existed. I'll be like, Ryan who? We don't know him anymore. So I remember I had gone to his page temporarily just to see like, okay, like you're not answering, weird. And I saw that he was in a relationship with the girl that he cheated on me with. You know, the girl that
I had nothing to worry about. She meant nothing. I was gonna end it with her and be with you, that girl.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
Yeah, so he was with her. And I remember I just looked at it and like, I didn't care. And I just want to preface this that I did, after he cheated on me, I'm not gonna lie, I was hurt about it for a little bit, but then my feelings completely dissolved. Even when I found out I was pregnant, in no way, shape, or form was I like still in love with him, or still like, you know, in my head I wasn't like, oh, we're gonna be a family. Like, once you cheat on me, that's it. That's a wrap. And you don't have to be with somebody just because you have a baby with them. When I found out I was pregnant, I was like, we're still not getting back together. Like, you cheated on me. That trust is broken. That trust cannot be reestablished. And I know there's certain people who do get back with like their spouse or something when they cheat on them and that it works out well for them. And that's great. I'm not here judging anybody or saying you can't do that. I'm just saying for me personally, I can't. Regardless if we have a baby together or not, I can't do it. So I remember I saw that, and so I sent a follow-up text just reassuring him. I was like, listen, I'm not trying to get in the middle of your relationship. I don't know what you have going on, nor do I care, but I just need to really talk to you. This is like important. Like, it's important stuff. I wouldn't be hitting you up if it wasn't anything. And he was just like, okay, call me when you're back and we'll meet up. And I said, okay, cool. So I remember I had said goodbye to my friend. I packed up my car and I had gone back to Connecticut. And it's so funny because I remember I said in my last story time that I had moved from New Jersey to Connecticut and I packed my life in my little Honda Civic and I was on the way back, and it almost gave me like, it took me back almost to when I was moving. And I remember I was like, this time I'm coming back to Connecticut, but I'm coming back to Connecticut like with the baby, like pregnant, you know? And my whole life is about to change. And I was just sitting there kind of like self-reflecting. And I knew when I got back, I was gonna have to tell my mom and my dad and my grandma and stuff. And I just knew that when I got back that it was like, okay, like playtime's over, now it's crunch time. And I get back and I was unpacking my car for my trip, and I remember I had texted him when I was leaving, and I said, you know, let's meet up the next morning. And he said, okay, I'm gonna be actually going to my friend's cottage for the weekend, so you can just call me. And I was like, why would you be going to your friend's cottage knowing that I'm coming back on this day and that I said that we needed to talk? Like, why would you even make plans? Like, if I told you it was serious, why wouldn't you not have plans for the day? That way we can meet up and we could talk about this. And the thing is that he wasn't working, so it's not like he was busy. He just wanted to go party. Like, that's what it was. And I remember I'd gotten back at night, and the next day we're supposed to meet up, and now he's telling me he's going to this cottage. So I'm like, are you absolutely kidding me? So I said, you know what? You have about 20 minutes to call me. If I don't get a call from you, I'm just going to tell you what it is through a text message, and you could take it for however you want. But I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not sitting with this uncomfortable, uneasy feeling because I still have to tell the father of my child that I'm pregnant, and you don't want anything to, like, you're not trying to give me the time of day to meet up, nothing. And I remember I was just so aggravated, and I was just like, this is gonna be my life. Like, I can't. So I remember he didn't call me, and I said, you know what, F it, I'm just gonna text it. And I remember clear as day I said, you don't want to be grown enough to meet up with me or to call me because everything else is more important. So here it is. I'm pregnant. I'm keeping the baby with or without you. I'm going to do this. And that was basically what I wanted to tell you. The minute I sent that text, my phone died. My phone died. And I was like, okay, let me go in my suitcase and grab my charger. I'm in my suitcase. I can't find it anywhere. So I'm taking the suitcase out, I'm throwing clothes all around the room, I'm throwing my makeup everywhere, and I'm just like, fuck, my charger is gone. Like, it's gone. I don't know where it is. And my dad had a flip phone at this time, okay? This was like 2013. So he didn't have an iPhone charger for me, and I only had one charger. So I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to go to Walmart and like get one because I can't, like, I just dropped this bomb on him telling him that I'm pregnant, and my phone dies, and now I don't know what he's gonna say. So I remember I went into my car and I went to Walmart, I grabbed the charger, and I got home and I plugged like my iPhone 4 in, and it took like 10 minutes to boot up, you guys. And the minute that it booted up, I had like 5 missed calls from him, 2 voicemails, and I'm just like, oh, okay, so you did have time, you just didn't want to be bothered. But he didn't call me off of his phone. he called me off of like the house phone because he was at a cabin, there wasn't great service, and he called me and left me a voicemail. He was like, "Hi, it's Ryan. I called you 3 times. I've left you like 2 voicemails. Call me when you get this." And I tried to call him and it just wasn't going through. So I basically just texted him and I was just like, "Look, like, I'm not going to keep playing this cat and mouse game with you. This is what it is. Like I said, I'm keeping it with or without you. I don't really care what your opinion is. Like, this is happening and it's my body and it's my choice, and that's on period." And he just wrote back and he was just like, no, like don't worry about it. Like, I want it too. Like, I want this with you, and I am so excited. And I just was like, really, like, I wasn't expecting that response, I guess. So he had wrote back and said that he was excited and that, you know, like, he was gonna be here. And I said, okay. And without even saying anything like, you know, how'd you find out, or have you gone to the doctor, or like, what do you know? The first thing this man says to me is, "So when are we getting back together?" Hello? Oh, okay. It's the delusion for me. Like, what? I literally was like, what are you talking about? Like, do you really think I'm gonna get back together with you after what your dusty ass just did? Absolutely not. I just broke up with her, and I just want to know, like, when we're gonna get back together, because, like, you know, you're pregnant, like, we're gonna be a family. And I was like, no, first of all, you cheated on me with or without this pregnancy. Like, I would have not gotten back together with you anyway. So just because there's a baby involved now, like, no, like, we're gonna co-parent. We're gonna co-parent. We're not gonna get back together. It's not happening. To be a family, this is how you do this. Like, this is the right way to do it. And I'm just like, you screwed that up for yourself. Like, sorry. Somebody had commented on my last video basically saying that, like, they were in a similar situation with me, but they ended up staying and having a baby and it was toxic. And I thank God every single day that I found out that that man was cheating on me, because that was my way out of the toxic environment. Like, if I had stayed and then found out I was pregnant, I would have stayed together with him. I wouldn't have left, because I wouldn't have known that he cheated on me. And I would have brought my daughter into a very toxic, unstable environment, and that would have been very, very damaging. So I thank God every day that I found out. And, like, that's just me. Like, when I find out you cheat on me, like, that's it. I don't care how much you try to give to me. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care what your social stature is. Like, I don't care. Once that, in my opinion, once that line of trust is broken, there's no coming back from it. I'm not going to damage myself in the back of my mind wondering where you're at, what you're doing, what girls you're texting. That disturbs my peace, and my peace is a priority over you any day of the week. So no. And the thing is, you guys, is that I knew I was going into this alone. Like I said, he was a guy who talked a big game, you know, said that he was going to do this and that, always talked himself up to be something that he wasn't. He was a very good charmer. He knew how to charm people. That's why he's gotten through his life without having to do much of anything, because he's a charmer. He knows how to charm people. He knows what to say. He knows what to do. He knows what type of body language to have, and he knows how to make himself be a victim and tell a really big sob story for you to feel sorry for him and do what he needs you to do. He's a narcissist. And time goes on, and I remember I told, well, my dad knew. I don't know what it was, but he just knew. Like, he sat me down and was like, "This is probably going to be the hardest thing I ever have to ask you, but are you pregnant?" I told him yes, and we both cried, and he was just like, "All right, well, then let's do what we got to do, and it is what it is." Like, and he just gave me a lot of support during that time. And I have to say, I'm not going to get too much into it because it's going to revert me from the story, but my dad was my #1 supporter during that time. That man took me to every single appointment, waited outside for me to make sure that I was okay and wouldn't slip on the snow or the ice or anything like that. That man rubbed my feet at the end of a long day after working 9-hour shifts. He went at like 11 o'clock at night to go get me a McChicken from McDonald's, Slurpees from 7-Eleven, like everything that like a partner is supposed to do during that time, my dad did for me, and I'll never forget that. And I will always, I don't think I could ever repay him for how much he was there for me during that pregnancy. I remember I told my mom about it, and I told my grandmother, who's now passed, and I remember I was so scared to tell my grandmother. I was so afraid. That was over my dad or my mom. My grandma was the #1 person that I was so afraid to tell. But I remember I called her and I told her, and she said, I was like, "Wait, you're not mad at me?" And she's like, "Dakota, you can't cry over spilt milk. You just gotta make a plan now." And that was basically my family's reaction. Everybody, not everybody was supportive, and let me just say that. I lost a lot of people when I found out I was pregnant. I had people in my not like my immediate family, like my mom, dad, and grandma. I'm talking about like cousins, people like that. A lot of people judging me, a lot of people saying that I should give it up for adoption and that, you know, I'm too young and what about college and blah, blah, blah. And I lost a lot of family during that time. A lot of people judged me. A lot of people said I wasn't going to make it, that I wasn't going to be a fit mother. They didn't say it directly to me. Let's just say that. Nobody said it to my face. Nobody said anything to me. I just heard it through the grapevine. I remember I just kept saying in my head, I was like, I'm not even going to prove you guys wrong. I'm just going to prove myself right. And I know I'm going to be a damn good mother. I'm going to do everything for this baby that I possibly can. And I'm going to do it by myself. So just take a seat and watch. But I didn't care about proving them wrong. I had confidence in myself that I knew that I was going to be okay. And if there's anything that this pregnancy taught me, it was to have your own voice, use it, stand in your truth, and don't care about what other people think about you. Because at the end of the day, what people think about you is a projection. What people think about you is a mirror about what they think about themselves, and because they don't believe in themselves and their abilities and their talents and capabilities of navigating life, they're going to project that onto you to make you feel like they do, because misery loves company, and I will give no company to misery, period. And the best thing that I did during that time was believe in me, because that's all I had was myself. Like, yes, sure, I had my dad, you know, helping me out and encouraging me and all of that, but like, and you know, my mom was like present and stuff. I wasn't living with both of them. My mom and my dad have been divorced since I was very young, but you know, like I was by myself, you guys. I had nobody but me to navigate myself and teach myself and do all of these things. And I think it happened for a reason, for me to finally establish my voice, because for so long in my life I let people walk all over me. I let people belittle me. I let people manipulate me. And I finally was like, I am not only going to be my biggest advocate, but my child's as well. I need to find my voice and step into my power. So at like 19 years old, I finally did that. And I think that was the biggest lesson I had to learn, was how to be confident and have self-esteem and to believe in yourself and step into your power and live in your truth and don't waver it for anybody. Even though it was lonely at times I cried and was like, am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to be okay? And at the end of the day, I was always reminded that I am as strong as my mindset is. So during this time, like I said, I had no health insurance. I had no money. I was broke. I didn't have any idea of what to do. And I remember I'm so grateful for the coworkers that I had, because a lot of them were mothers. One of them was a single mom. Her name was Tisha. I'll always be grateful for her, because she really helped me out. And she was like, you got to get on, you know, state health insurance. You got to sign up for this. You got to do that. And like, she really helped me. Like, I'll never forget. I literally printed out the application. I brought it into her room and I was just like, what do I do? Like, what do I do with this? And she helped me fill it out. She helped me, you know, fax it over to them. And it was just a whole debacle of getting health insurance. It was way harder than it had to be. I finally got myself on health insurance, got myself, you know, picked an OBGYN, got myself to the doctors, signed up for all these like breastfeeding courses and all of these like nutrition classes and like how to feed your baby. And I met with like a bunch of social workers and just talked to them about, you know, like services and things that I could apply to, or like, you know, outside sources that could help me. I signed up for this program that's called Nurturing Families, and it's a free program, and they basically come to your house once a week and you'll discuss like, you know, tips to keep a positive mindset through like all the trimesters and changes that you may experience and body changes that you may go through. And it was just a really, really cool program, and it was completely free, and it just basically helped you and taught you how to raise a child and how to, you know, also take care of yourself in the process. And I'll always be grateful, and I always say that like your life, everything happens for a reason. Like, what are the odds that my dad's girlfriend knew about this job that was hiring? I go into a daycare, I find out I'm pregnant. There's a lot of moms around me that are helping me and giving me, you know, advice and telling me like things that I need to be doing in order to be prepared. And I always say like, you are placed in your life for a reason, and there's always a reason for things that are going on in your life. And it's about finding that reason and finding the lesson and all the blessings that they entail. So I'll always be grateful for that job and the girls that were there and that helped me during that time, because I had no idea, you guys. Like, I didn't know what bottles to get. I didn't know what formula to get, if I was even gonna need formula. I didn't know anything about breastfeeding. I knew nothing about, do I get a pack and play, or do I get a bassinet, or do I get a crib, and what's a receiving blanket, and what's a swaddle blanket, and what's like like what are all these things? So it was very confusing, but I had the support. And also the thing is too, is that when you find out you're pregnant, no matter what age you are, you could be 19 or you could be 40, you are never mentally prepared to have a child. Like, if I was to have a child now, I'd be way more prepared, but not because I'm older, not because I'm more financially stable, but because I've done it before. And in my opinion, you learn by doing. And yes, it's always better to be like, you know, a little bit more financially stable, a little bit more on your feet, obviously. In no way am I saying at 19 years old become pregnant, but I'm just saying that age doesn't matter when it comes to motherhood, like, or parenthood. You learn by doing. I'd be more prepared now because I've already done it before. So I remember I went to my first doctor's appointment, and at the first doctor's appointment I was actually able to find out what the gender was, and I found out that I was having a little girl. I remember I looked at it and I was just like, my daughter's name is going to be Aubrey. I don't know what it was, but like, my daughter's name was just going to be Aubrey. And I think it was because I was obsessed with Chelsea from Teen Mom at that time, and her daughter's name was Aubrey, and I've always loved the name. So I ended up naming her Aubrey. I knew right on the spot that's what I wanted to name her. And I remember I would go to these appointments by myself. I had nobody with me. There was like a parking garage, and because it was really cold out, sometimes my dad would take me to the appointments and then drop me off and then come back and pick me up. I had my own car, but because like the whole parking garage thing and like crossing the street and it being really icy, and it was like in the heart of New Haven, if you know anything about that area, it's not the absolute best. So I remember I was going to all these appointments alone. I was going to these classes alone. These people were coming over and doing the Nurturing Families program with me alone, and he was invited. He was told he could come, never came to one single appointment, never came to one parenting class, never came to anything. And like I said, he wasn't working. It's not like he wasn't busy. I mean, it's not like he was busy, but he just never came to anything, and would always say, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. There was always an excuse. It was either he didn't have a car, or he didn't have money, or he didn't have transportation, or something came up. Like, there was always a reason why he couldn't be physically involved, but he would talk a huge game over text, like, I'm gonna be there, you're gonna not be in this alone, I'm gonna be financially stable, I'm gonna do this and that, and it just never actually happened, and I didn't hold my breath for it to happen either. So I'd go to my appointments, and then I would leave, and then I'd go to work, and I'd be at work till like 6:30 at night, just to come home, eat some dinner, relax for a bit, go to sleep, and do it all over again the next day. I literally worked every day, Monday to Friday, till 6:30 at night, on my feet for 8-9 hours a day, picking up kids, changing their diapers, cleaning, serving food. Like, I would work all day. My feet would be so swollen when I got home, and I worked up until a week before my due date. And this guy was over here just not doing anything, didn't have a job, didn't have a car, no ambition to do anything. And during that time, I was trying very hard to help him, because he does come from a very troubled past. I will give him the benefit of that. And I was trying to help him and, like, you know, get him into some type of therapy so he can get himself better. That way he can, you know, be prepared for when the baby comes. And I did that for about 3 months, just really trying to help him, really trying to be there for him. And then finally I realized, like, what am I doing? I need to be taking this time and putting it into me and this baby. Like, he's on his own. If he wants to not take my help, if he wants to not take my advice, that's fine. But I can take somebody to the pond, but I can't make them drink the water. So I learned from then to stop caring so much about other people who don't want to be helped, and to put that energy into myself. And that's exactly what I did. And I started to just, again, realize that I was going to be alone during this, and that was that. And at my job, during this time, I remember that we had like a professional development day, which basically means that the daycare was shut down, but we were still there having like trainings and stuff like that. And during lunchtime, we were walking into the back room, and I walked in, and everybody was like surprised, and my job had thrown me like a really cute baby shower, and everybody had chipped in and made like a diaper cake for me with like all these little like receiving blankets and like stuffed animals and like gift cards and formula and outfits, and it was just, oh my god, it was so sweet. I still have the cake topper that they actually got for me, and I just felt so loved and supported. Like, I will never forget how much those girls were so there for me during that time. And I remember I had come home with like all these presents and stuff, and my dad was in the middle of putting the crib together, and it was just a really bad timing, and the house was a freaking mess. And I remember I had my first like emotional pregnancy outburst where I just like sat on the floor and started crying. You know, when you're like 8-9 months pregnant, you're just done. Like, you're just done. Your body is just finished, and you just want to go to sleep and cry. My mother also threw me an amazing shower, and you know, we took what we had and we made it work, and it was just really nice, and I felt very supported. And that's one thing, is that when I did announce that I was pregnant with my baby and put like the ultrasound picture up, like, people were like, "You're gonna be such a good mom, like I'm so proud of you, and I'm so happy." And like, it's crazy because nobody ever thought that I was going to be the one that got pregnant first. Like, nobody ever in their right mind thought that like I was going to be the first one pregnant out of like my high school, but I was. And you know, some people were definitely like, what the heck, and others were like really supportive, and I really appreciated that. So like I said, I was going to like all of my appointments alone. I was doing my registry alone. I was figuring out things by myself, and definitely at times it was a little bit lonely, a little bit like scary, I guess I could say. But again, at the end of the day, I always had that voice in my head that told me, I don't know what it was, but it was just telling me that everything was going to be okay, and I was going to be good, and that everything was going to work out the way that it was supposed to. And during this time, I was also trying again to get the father of my child to be more involved. I wanted him to, you know, meet my parents, because at this time, like, we were together only for a couple months when I found out that I was pregnant. So he hadn't ever met my family just yet. I remember I'd always try to get him to like, you know, come by one day for dinner and like meet them. That way they can get to know him a bit better. And again, there was always an excuse. It was either he didn't have a car, or he didn't have this, or he didn't have that. There was just always something that was in the way of him doing what he needed to do responsibility wise. And like, I'd say like, oh hey, like, you know, I'm gonna wait to see what I get in my baby shower, but if I don't get this like car seat or something like that, do you want to go half on it with me? And I was looking at, you know, this thing like for her crib, like, what do you think about it? And he just was like, he couldn't be bothered. But then there would be other days where he would be like, I can't wait till the baby comes, and I can't wait till this and that, and I'm gonna get her this, and I want to get her this stroller and this bike, and like just all of these like crazy things. And that's what a narcissist does, is like they'll love bomb you one day, and then the next day they want nothing to do with responsibility. It's crazy. And again, during this time, all he was focused on was us being together, not the baby, not anything of that entailed, just us. And he would constantly be like, not that you care, but I did this today and I was really sad, and like I've been really depressed. Not that you care, but like I'm really not emotionally doing well right now. Meanwhile, I'm over here working 9-hour shifts a day, saving every single paycheck that I have, getting myself on health insurance, not buying myself a damn thing as I'm saving everything for this baby. And like, I'm stressed. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm stressed. Like, I'm sad. My feet hurt. Like, what are you doing? Like, where do you have room to be upset or stressed or anything like that, you know? And that's exactly what I did, you guys. Like, I literally saved every single solitary paycheck that I could. I did not buy myself anything. I did not splurge on anything for myself. Every single penny went into my bank account, because I was taking a maternity leave, but because I only been at my job at that point for about 6 months, I wasn't able to get paid for it. So I was able to take 3 months off, but I was not going to get paid at all during that time. And I knew that he wasn't going to be there. So I was saving everything. I was, you know, making sure that I got like all like my dental appointments taken care of before the baby came. I was making sure that my health insurance was going to be good. You know, again, going to parenting classes, becoming educated, really learning about breastfeeding. That's something that I really, really, really wanted to do. You know, reaching out to other like mother groups and stuff, and like getting support, finding out, you know, developmental milestones about the baby. And I was getting excited, and I was really just excited to become a mother. I really, really, really was looking forward to it. So let's talk about the weeks leading up to my delivery, where I did almost pass away. my body just like that went into shock and went into a seizure. Goes into full-blown like mama bear mode and runs into the facility, and she's like screaming, and she's like, she's having a seizure, we need somebody in here, we need somebody. As far as your daughter goes, we have to do a multiple amount of scans to make sure that she doesn't have brain damage. I finally looked down at my belly and realize that it's not like big anymore. Like there's no bump. It's just like back to my regular size stomach. Where the fuck's my baby? Because nobody's about to tell me that my baby didn't make it.